Welcome to High Cheese. It's Friday, May 17th, 2024. So let's talk about Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen took the stand this week in New York City in the smear case against Donald Trump. And let me just preface this with a little history. Well, how did Michael Cohen get here? Well, this all started with Michael Cohen when he was indicted on tax evasion charges. So the feds, the local district attorney's office, knew Michael Cohen's connection to Donald Trump. So they have meetings with Cohen and say, look, we'll take it easy on you. We'll get the judge to give you a light sentence. But tell us what you know about Donald Trump. Give us some dirt on Donald Trump. And isn't it a shame? And this is how our judicial system works. This whole thing was coordinated between or among the Department of Justice, the New York City District Attorney's Office, and the White House. Well, give us all you know. What do you know about Donald Trump? And Cohen has already come out, and I'm going to go into some testimony by his former attorney, Bob Costello, said that Costello already said behind the scenes he will do anything to stay out of jail. But he had nothing on Donald Trump. There was nothing. I can't give you anything, guys. But I can lie. I can give you dirt that's not true. And the district attorney's office, oh, yeah, give it to us. Give it to us. We'll get the judge to go easy on you when you get sentenced. And in 2018, Cohen was sentenced to 3 years in prison, of which he spent a little over a year up in prison in Otisville, New York, and spent the remainder of his prison sentence in home confinement. Well, what was the big lie? The big lie of Michael Cohen is that Donald Trump knew about payment to Stormy Daniels. And this was a lie. Michael Cohen has already testified in his documentation that Michael Cohen said to the FEC that Donald Trump knew nothing about any payment to Stormy Daniels. It's in writing. I believe he testified about it also. And what Michael Cohen did, okay, I'll lie here. I'm going to lie to get a lighter sentence. And what he did, he threw Donald Trump under the bus just to get himself a lighter sentence. And let me go into a little more detail about these hush money payments. They're perfectly legal. Now, many wealthy individuals get accused of many things because people know that, oh, these people have money. I'm going to make these accusations that I had an affair with so-and-so. It's going to embarrass them. And it's just a form of legalized extortion. And many extremely wealthy people, particularly high-profile people, not even high-profile people, they make payments to these people just to be quiet, go away. And whether they paid it out of their own checking account or their business checking account, it's perfectly legal. But what the federal government and the New York City prosecutor's office, they want you to believe that, well, this payment helped Donald Trump in his election because it came out that he had an affair. It would have hurt him in the election. And the FEC, the Federal Elections Commission, already looked into this. And this is the organization that Michael Cohen had sent a letter to and said, look, Donald Trump did not know about this. There's nothing to see here. Donald Trump did not know about the payment I made to Stormy Daniels. It's in Michael Cohen's signature. And he admits to it. And the prosecutors want you to believe, well, he lied there. But he's telling the truth here. And not only that, they want the jury to believe, well, Donald Trump would have been convicted of violating the FEC laws. And therefore he's guilty. Which is a bizarre legal theory. Because how can a local jury make a decision on a federal law? Particularly when the FEC already came in and said, look, there's nothing to see here. There's no violation here. And this is why it's all convoluted. And they're just hoping that the jury pool hates Donald Trump so much, they'll believe anything, even a convicted felon, in order to get a guilty plea on something. And with that said, I want to go to a clip, and this is with Bob Costello. He's Michael Cohen's former attorney. And he's testifying before the House Oversight Committee. And he talks about a number of things. One of the things is he said that he would do anything to stay out of jail. So let's go to this clip, and then we'll come back and discuss.
My name is Bob Costello. I've been an attorney for 51 years, and I'm the former assistant U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York, where I was deputy chief of the criminal division. During the period April 2018 to July 2018, I represented Michael Cohen. Today, I can talk to you about what Michael Cohen told my law partner and me, because Michael Cohen waived the attorney-client privilege. That when we first met Michael Cohen in April of 2018, and keeping in mind now that I read Michael Cohen's testimony from yesterday's trial in New York, virtually every statement that he made. That's ridiculous. The first day that we met with Michael Cohen at the Regency Hotel, at his request, and there's email correspondence that show this, we went up there. I had never met Michael Cohen before. I didn't have any idea who he was or what sort of problem he was in. I saw this guy in a conference room at the Regency Hotel marching back and forth like a tiger in a cage. He was absolutely manic. He looked like he hadn't slept in 4 or 5 days. And he kept on, he knew my partner, Jeff Citron, for 10 years. I didn't know the guy. He kept on pounding on the table throughout his speeches that day. Guys, I want you to know, I will do whatever the F I have to do. I will never spend 1 day in jail. He had to say that at least 10 times, maybe 20. It was his constant litany as he walked back and forth.
So Cohen lied. And the interesting thing is that in order to make this work for the prosecution, Cohen would have to say that he lied to the FEC. That letter was a lie. The letter that he sent the FEC saying, hey, Donald Trump knew nothing about this payment was a lie to the FEC. And any testimony he made in front of any governing body where he said Donald Trump knew nothing about the Stormy Daniels payment was a lie. So he also had to plead guilty as part of this whole thing to lying. And that's how this whole thing came into a little package for the prosecution. In the real world, this case would not have made it anywhere, but it's New York City. And what the prosecutors are hoping that, even though this case is weak on paper, they're hoping that the jury has a good case of Trump derangement syndrome. And they'll be willing to believe a convicted felon and a proven liar in order to convict Donald Trump. Now, Trump's team did a really good job during the cross-examination of Cohen. And it came out during Cohen's testimony during the prosecutor's examination. Cohen said that he had talked to Trump directly about paying Stormy Daniels. Now, apparently, he said that he had talked to one of Trump's aides, and the aide handed the phone over to Donald Trump. So what Trump's team did during cross-examination, he goes, well, you know, we got your phone records from the date that you said you spoke to Donald Trump. And here they are. And here are some texts. And apparently these texts and this phone call wasn't about Donald Trump, and it wasn't about Stormy Daniels. It was about Cohen talking to Trump's aide about some 14-year-old kid that got his cell phone number and was giving him phony phone calls as well as some harassing texts. And he wanted to know if Trump's aide could do anything about it. And then Cohen had said, well, I spoke to Trump during that time period, too, about Stormy Daniels. And Trump's team came back, well, wait a second. This phone call was only 90 seconds. So you're telling me you spoke to Trump's aide about this 14-year-old making phony phone calls to you, and then he handed the phone over to Donald Trump, and you talked about Stormy Daniels, all in 90 seconds? Highly unbelievable. And apparently all the experts are saying that's critical. This is an extremely critical undermining by the defense of Cohen. And it's a good sign. But listen, I don't want to get everybody's hopes up high, because I still think that this jury pool, anti-Trump, big Democratic area, are going to vote to convict Trump of something. Now, Trump will win on appeal because you've got a corrupt judge. You've got a convoluted legal theory that they're pursuing here. And the interesting thing, and let me talk about a little bit about Judge Merchan. And it was funny, every time that Trump's defense team got on a roll against Cohen, Marchant, the judge, came back and said, well, let's take a break here, just to break up the momentum. You know what it was like? It was like, in baseball. You get a pitcher that's going really well. He's got his rhythm going, and he starts his windup, and the batter steps out of the box and calls timeout, just to break up the momentum, just to break up the rhythm of the pitcher. And this is what Marchant was doing for the prosecution. Every time Donald Trump's team was getting on a roll, let's take a break here. Now, the other thing that came out, I also find was interesting, is Dan Goldman. Dan Goldman is a congressman. He's the heir to the Levi Strauss Dungaree Company. Well, he came out and said that he had prepped Michael Cohen. I guess Goldman's an attorney also, and he had prepped Michael Cohen. And we also find out that he paid over $130,000 to Judge Marchand's daughter. And this is just an incestuous relationship the Democrat Party has with each other. They have it with themselves. They have it with the deep state. They're all going to work hard for each other. They're all going to pay the daughter of the judge that's prosecuting Donald Trump. It's just a nice little package. It's this hive mentality. And I've said this in the past. They're just looking for the headline. They want the headline in the newspaper that says Trump convicted. They don't care if it loses on appeal. And this is what election interference is. So we shall see. So Joe Biden decided he's going to debate Donald Trump. There's going to be two debates. One on June 27th, and the next one is going to be mid-September. And they're in a panic. They're reading the polls. Trump is winning in all the swing states. Many of the swing states, he's up significantly. You had James Carville, the influential political advisor, come out and say, hey, look, something's wrong. This is not working. Our strategy is not working. We have to do something different because it's not working. And one poll I thought was really interesting is that on Wednesday, they released a poll in Minnesota, the deep blue state of Minnesota. Oh, and by the way, the Minnesota Democrat Party just endorsed Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, the anti-Semite, anti-American Congresswoman. But this poll that came out on Wednesday, Biden is only up 2 points in Minnesota against Donald Trump. And guys, we could tell you it's not working. The American people are against you. The American people see through what the Democrat and the deep state is doing to Donald Trump. So they got to debate Donald Trump. So Joe Biden comes out and said, yeah, I'll debate you, Donald Trump. You said you'll meet me anywhere, anytime, and I'll agree to a debate. And then they come out later, Democrats come out later and say, well, it's going to be on CNN, and RFK Jr. won't be there, and it'll be before no audience. What's next? They're going to bring out an interpreter for Joe Biden to tell us what he said through all of his gibberish. But here's what I find interesting. The June debate is before the Democrat convention. And quite frankly, I think this is Joe Biden's last audition. And if he does not do well, and it's just more of the same nonsense coming from him, I really do think that they'll swap him in the convention. Democrat Party has that much power in their own party to swap out Joe Biden. And I think this is his last audition. If he screws this up like he screwed up this country, the Democrats, they're smart enough to know that this can't go on. We're going to lose. So the two moderators in the June CNN debate are going to be Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, two Trump lovers. Now, I know some people are being a little critical, and I think too much, on Donald Trump for taking this. Oh, what are you going to CNN? Why are you doing this? Jake Tapper hates you. Dana Bash hates you. So you're going into enemy territory. Why do this? Now, Trump has really good instincts. He's already been on CNN. He's already done well in his town hall. He's familiar with these people. And he's on a roll right now, even though we've got this lawfare against him. We've got the deep state, and we've got the Democrats throwing everything at him. And he's still getting 100,000 people at Wildwood, New Jersey. That, I thought, was also disturbing for them. After all this, he's in the middle of a trial, and he attracts 100,000 people to Wildwood, New Jersey. I think that was a wake-up call for them. It may be too late. Now, the Democrats are saying, we've lost a lot of our base. They're going to Donald Trump, a lot of the middle class, a lot of African Americans, a lot of Hispanics. They're all moving toward Donald Trump. And they're hoping that they can get them back. But I think it's too late. I still think it's going to be a close race. Electorally, it may not be, but I think it will be a close race. Now, Trump is up. You still have to go out and vote in November. You still have to get your votes, your friends to come out in November to vote. But they're in a panic. And don't you love it? So inflation numbers came in this week, and on Tuesday we had wholesale prices that came in. Now it's known as PPI, and it was up. And then the next day, on Wednesday, CPI figures came in, and there was a slight decrease on this. Not to the items that most Americans need, but the index itself came in slightly lower. Nothing significant. And, the market continues to go up, and it's concerning. It should be concerning to a lot of people about this stock market because it's really based on wishful thinking. And it's all about whether the Fed is going to raise or lower interest rates. So right now they're trying to read the tea leaves and read the chicken bones from the Fed and trying to figure out whether and when they're going to lower interest rates. So if they think the Fed's going to lower interest rates, the stock market goes up. And to me, that's very concerning because there's really nothing fundamental about what's driving this market. Now, you'll get some of these people that say, hey, look, a lot of companies have shown earnings and good earnings. Well, not if you take a look at the history of earnings growth over the past several years. It's been going down. And then one thing that Wall Street loves to do is they love to play this earnings expectation game. And what they do is a lot of these banks, what they do is they forecast earnings that are so low for these companies that it makes it easier to beat. And when a company beats its earnings expectation, the natural tendency is to go up. But the trend has been downward over the past several years regarding overall earnings growth and overall revenues for many of these companies. And look, you take a look at the indexes. The indexes are being driven by very, very few companies. If you took a look at I think last year it was only 7 companies that really drove the S&P and NASDAQ up. And this year, if you took a look at the S&P, most of the corporations that are in the S&P 500 are struggling. So it's just a select few companies that really driving these indexes up. So I really hope at one point this Wall Street gets back to fundamentals. I know that people are up in the air about Warren Buffett. Now, whether you like him or not, he's a fundamentalist regarding stocks, and he's been very successful. So I wish the rest of Wall Street would follow his strategy instead of making everything about wishful thinking. So let's go to the CPI numbers. So let's see what we got here. Juice is up 29%. And again, this is year over year, and this the numbers I'm giving you are including the 9.1% inflation that kicked in 2022 under Joe Biden. Roast beef up 10.1%. Hot dogs up 7.1%. Sugar up 6.6%. Baby formula up 5.1%. Fats and oils up 4.8%. Hey, did you notice olive oil is really going up? The price of olive oil is really, really getting expensive. Dried beans up 4.5%. Electricity up 2.5%. Gasoline up 3.1%. Motor vehicle insurance up 22.6%. Motor vehicle repair up 9.8%. Non-prescription drugs up 7%. Vet service up 7.1%. Oh, by the way, a neighbor of mine took his dog to his puppy to the vet, and it cost him $7,000. He had swallowed a blanket, and it took him several weeks for them to figure out that he swallowed a blanket. And then he got a bill for $7,000. Water, sewer, and trash collection, 5.3%. Internet services up 5%. Personal care service up 4.7%. Cable, satellite, live streaming up 3.8%. And Jamie Dimon has come out. Jamie Dimon's probably the most influential banker on Wall Street, and he's looking to run for president in 2028. And he's the CEO of J.P. Morgan. He made another announcement today that the country's got to take care of its fiscal house. We've got too much debt. Inflation's never going to go down. You know, there's political motives behind it, but, you know, he's giving us a warning. We cannot continue to accumulate over $2 trillion in debt every year. It's going to be a tremendous amount of pressure, inflationary pressure, as a result of this. So we shall see. So the House wants copies of Joe Biden's interview by special counsel Hur, who was investigating Joe Biden over the fact that they found classified documents in his house, in his garage next to his Corvette. And this was the case where Hur concluded that although crimes were committed, Joe Biden is so feeble-minded, he would find it hard to believe that a jury would convict because they would have sympathy for Joe Biden and they would have sympathy for such a feeble-minded man. But still, the House wants copies of his interview, audio copies. And Merrick Garland steps in and said, no, you're not getting it. So the House Judiciary Committee, as well as the House Oversight Committee, passed a resolution. Each passed a resolution to hold Merrick Garland in contempt. And with that said, let's go to a clip. It's with Merrick Garland responding to this.
We have gone to extraordinary lengths to ensure that the committees get responses to their legitimate requests. But this is not one. To the contrary, this is one that would harm our ability in the future to successfully pursue sensitive investigations.
And it's funny, this sounds so much like Fani Willis's response to the Georgia State Senate investigation into her. She was requested to be interviewed by the Georgia State Senate, and she declined. And effectively, the words out of her mouth were the same words that you hear from Merrick Garland. Oh, this is illegitimate. And this is why these people are the threat to democracy. Because Congress's charge is to oversee the operations of the executive branch. And Garland's just ignoring it, as much as Fani Willis is. And it's a threat to democracy when your attorney general doesn't respect the authority of Congress. Now, you're going to get the Democrats that say, well, there was already a transcript available. Well, that's fine. But they have a right to the audio. There's certain nuance that is picked up in an audio that isn't picked up in a transcript. And both the Judiciary Committee and the Oversight Committee, they want to hear it. Now, Joe Biden is giving him cover right now because he's declaring, oh, that's executive privilege. Well, why is the audio executive privilege when written transcript isn't executive privilege? Just doesn't make sense. So the next step is this is going to go to Mike Johnson. And Mike Johnson has to decide whether there's going to be a vote in Congress to hold Merrick Garland in contempt. So it could get interesting because if Congress wanted to play hardball, they could start withholding funding as a result of this. Oh, you're not going to give us what we want? We're going to withhold funding on all of these investigations into Donald Trump. Now, if Johnson had a set he would ask to do that. But you never know with Speaker Johnson. So we shall see. Now, I want to leave us with a clip, and it's with Democrat Rep. Jasmine Crockett. And she goes absolutely ballistic during the House Oversight Committee's meeting to hold Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress. And she's triggered by Marjorie Taylor Greene. Just to preface this, Marjorie Taylor Greene was asking whether other members of this committee was also contributing to Judge Merchant's daughter's company in the same way that Representative Dan Goldman was. And Jasmine Crockett interjects to give Goldman cover. Listen to Marjorie Taylor Greene's response.
Do you know what we're here for? You know we're here about AG.
I don't think you know what you're here for.
Well, you the one talking about.
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
No, ain't nothing.
Hold on.
And Crockett goes ballistic. In the next clip, now the other voice you hear is Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna. She's trying to calm Crockett down. Now, APL is a Republican, and she's trying to calm Crockett down. Now, a word of warning, Crockett uses the S word here. So, if my mother's listening, just be prepared. You're going to hear the S word here.
Calm down.
No, because this is what y'all do.
So
I'm trying to get
Miss
clarification.
Crockett, you're not recognized. Miss
I can't hear
Crockett.
you with your
And you
yelling.
don't want me
Calm
to
down.
be-
Can you please calm
Don't
down?
tell me to calm down.
Calm down.
Because y'all talk
Calm
noise,
down.
and then you
You're
can't
out of
take
control.
Because if I
Look,
come,
Chairman,
if I
can we
come
send
and talk
outside to
shit
take a
about
break
her,
for 5
y'all
minutes?
gonna have a problem.
Mr. Chairman.
And Democrats are so easily triggered. Now, Crockett said some derogatory things about Marjorie Taylor Greene's blonde hair, said she had a butch-type body. And MTG just sat back. She was calm and collected during this whole thing. She didn't go ballistic. But Democrats are so easily triggered. And with that said, thank you very much for listening. You have a good week, and I will talk to you next Saturday.